Jackson Podcast.
You know, when it comes to podcasting culture and black culture in general, Joe Budden Podcast is leading in the culture. I would give, Charlamagne Tha God at the Brilliant Idiots a lot of credit because they've been in the game since the inception of podcasting. I've been listening to both of these podcasts since like 2014, 2015. So they've been in the game for a long time. Both of these brothers. And, they used to do the year-end wrap-up together. And they got disgruntled with each other, start saying things about each other on each other's platforms, and they went their own separate ways. But now, Melyssa Ford is back with her 4th episode of her show, Hot and Bothered. And she went and got the mental health specialist, Charlamagne Tha God, to be a guest on her show when she left Joe Budden's show due to mental health illnesses or issues or whatever. It's just interesting to see this.
It's these 4 young black boys. I can't remember what the podcast is called right now, but I mean.
Oh, you're talking about
it starts with a J.
Jamming or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah. They're from Chicago, I think.
I love them.
Mm-hmm.
I love them because it's just they take men and brosphere and red pillars to task. And their rhetoric is so respectful towards women, and they just have so much common sense for being so young. So I follow them. I follow Deontay Kyle. I definitely have an algorithm full of men that are allies to women. But I will also find myself in the comment section of certain things, and it's just. It's very polarizing, and it pulls you. And especially, I've had my own experiences of being around a certain type of, a certain group of men who exhibit groupthink. Mm-hmm. And that groupthink tends to lean very misogynistically. So it has an effect on you, as somebody who's just kind of like absorbing it. Simply just because I'm a woman and I'm the woman in the room kind of thing. It's just.
I listen, are there fuck boys out here? Yes. But I still believe in the circle of trust of humans. And I believe that the shooting percentage when it comes to the circle of trust of humans is still very, very high in spite of all the bullshit. And what do I mean by that? We wake up every day, mm-hmm. every single one of us, and we trust that we not gonna go crazy. I don't know none of these people in this room. Mm-hmm. But one of these motherfuckers could go crazy and fuck up the whole day for everybody. You could go to freaking Dunkin' Donuts and order a coffee, and it's that one person in the back who might decide, I'm gonna put some fucking, fentanyl or arson in her shit. Or you might get in the car with the Uber driver and that person decides to run off the road. My point is, we don't think about that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. You don't go into Dunkin' Donuts and think somebody's gonna put arson into your fucking drink. You don't order the Uber and jump in the car and think this person's gonna run me off the highway. You don't walk in rooms with perfect strangers and be like, okay, who's gonna be the person that shoots this shit up? So mm-hmm. there's a circle of trust that exists amongst humans. And in spite of all of the bullshit, we do pretty good. Mm-hmm. at making sure that all of us are safe and protected. Mm-hmm. So I can't base everything off, just the bullshit. Now, do I, raise my daughters with that mentality? Yes, but I also.
I like Charlamagne Tha God's response to the question that was asked, and it seemed as if she was trying to get something out of him. But ladies, I need y'all help when it comes to this because, she spoke about allies to women. I want to know who is the ops to women. This red pill and this manosphere movement and this MGTOW, all of that old type of stuff. I feel like a lot of those guys have been hurt by women. That's why they get in these male groups and bash women or talk about game and you got to have game and do this and do that. But it comes to a point to where you got to realize that all men ain't like that. Like, I support women. I want to see women evolve. I hate that we're at a state that, it was a point in time where we was concerned about race and black and white and these people and those people. But now it seems like we're at a state where we're oppositions to each other based upon sex. I feel like, I feel like that's nasty. We shouldn't be putting each other down and in competition with each other to be better and bigger and badder than each other. And then she is highlighting something that's the minority. We can't be focused on the minority, letting the minority become the majority. Real talk. That's just my opinion. And who is the ops to women? I feel like, just my perception, her focus is in the wrong place. Joe responded to the interview that was being had today. He came back and responded real quick. And I want to read a few of the X comments because I feel like they're entertaining too, though. But Joe Budden responded. He said, well, there you have it. The people in his comment section, that got 90,000 views early in the morning. Well, there you have it. She addressed a lot of things in this. I know they was dogpiling on Mel on the Joe Budden podcast. They was, kind of like being a little bit aggressive towards her. They done replaced her with Don't Call Me White Girl, and she's doing a phenomenal job to me. Don't Call Me White Girl fits more of the boys club that it is. Mel is a person that has to be catered to. She's a girl that has had a lot of tricks and a lot of niggas that's trying to get in her pants and stuff with the bag, and they got the money and they cater to her. She's used to being catered to and letting her speak and doing this and that. When at the end of the day, Joe Budden podcast is just a bunch of boys having a good time speaking about entertainment, hip hop, sports, culture, and all of that. And I don't think that that's a place for women. I feel like he should have branched off and created her own space, and he participated in it. But, it is what it is, though. Let me read a few of these comments that's coming from the response that she had Charlamagne Tha God on her first episode to season 4. So this comment says, women love being in men's spaces until it's time to be accountable for what you've done in life and what comes out your mouth. That's interesting. Notice how the pod has been nothing but positive vibes since she left. I can't be the only one. So this individual says, why can't accountability be a part of allyship, Melyssa? Why can't hearing uncomfortable truths that can enrich your life and relationships be a part of allyship? Being coddled and always hearing what you want to hear is a part of the misogyny you're talking about. Just consider that. So they said, MFers wanted Mel to be a bird so bad. I'm glad she got away from them. Grown-ass men mad that she never elaborated on her vixen days. They only wanted her to tell her business so they could have more jokes towards her. Glad she never gave in. So here goes an individual talking about the manosphere. The manosphere gets a lot of hate and is understandable, but why doesn't Poor Minds get the same pushback for their female rhetoric? They're no different. I'm going to read one more, then I'm going to continue to move on because, it's a lot of comments on this thing, and the manosphere and red pill community is interacting in this a lot. I'm going to read 2 more because I see a couple that's very interesting. I don't know. I feel like if you had been a fan of Joe's for the long run, you knew this was going to fall off the dribble. I said in a Reddit thread, they only brought Mel on to look like they wanted a female's opinion. You already had 5 strong personality dudes that talked over each other. She didn't stand a chance. They brought her to do what they did. Just kind of a blow off her opinions and joke on her in the name of calling her the sister. She was, but Meg Griffin style. I don't know what he talking about at the end though, but that is interesting because, we seen what happened with Rory and Mal on the podcast, and they doing a phenomenal job on their own. And I wish Melyssa Ford to do a phenomenal job on her own also. When you are a part of the Joe Budden podcast, he is getting so many views and so many people is tapped into his show that you got to create something on your own so you can be able to walk away from that. So let me read this comment and then I'm going to get back into the conversation. I want to play something from a previous episode of her and Drake's interaction around the time he released his last album with Party Next Door. The manosphere and red pill community is filled with the saddest sacks of shit. They make men look like total weak little bitchs. Then they think they're alpha. Some of these comments make me laugh. They worship guys like Tate, like they're their father. That's true. I be seeing people talk about Andrew Tate, the Myron Gaines and stuff. And, you know, it's people that take a harsh position towards women. And they might be flourishing in life. And there's some individuals that really appreciate women and love women. But to me, it needs to be a balance in, you know, the camaraderie, the way people conduct themselves towards men and women. It's a sad time that we are separating ourselves based upon sex. Let's get into this conversation about when Drake mentioned Melyssa Ford being a legend from the six. I hate to see you doing your show with a, you know, I ain't going to say what he, you know, I feel like that was one of the things other than the dog piling on her that contributed to her leaving, her embracing when Drake basically mentioned her name, calling her a legend from the six because she's from Canada, and calling Joe Budden a penis kisser. That's how I'm a word it. Another thing that made me feel like, you know, the podcast is in a space where it's going to be pieces moved around is that Joe Budden announced that he was making $1 million a month on Patreon. And he was going to end up making $20 million this year off his podcast. When I know them people probably didn't think that was possible. They didn't know what he was making. He probably giving them $10,000 a month. And they have an expectation that they deserve more because they bring so much to the show. But I feel like Melyssa Ford was a great co-host, but she didn't interject in a lot of things that majority of the people follow his podcast for. Hip hop, trending topics. You know, she was there for a lot of epic episodes, but I feel like she ain't even the only one that's going to be removed. And Charlamagne Tha God is participating in a nasty way because he didn't just, you know, infiltrate and be a guest on her show. He also, you know, was recently on Flip show.
Up to the show. Cause you're not allowed. I don't like to overstep. See you in here. You might be getting fined or suspended. Don't he be finding and suspending?
No, I don't want to talk about my man. He don't no, he does not. Up to the show.
Hey, it seemed like, you know, Joe do be putting them in his place though. But Flip got to be careful though, because, you know, Melyssa Ford spoke why she was so disgruntled about Flip on the show. And that could have been contributing to her leaving, though. But this is all just a mess. And to be honest with you, I'm the type of individual that likes to highlight content. I don't like to speak on the tea. And I don't like to, you know, see people disgruntled or speak division talking about this type of stuff in a decisive way. So I want to close this out and say, I hope all y'all win. You know, I hope all y'all continue to be great and continue to do your thing, though. But business is business. And people like to involve themselves in the mess. But at the end of the day, I'm going to keep doing my thing on my own, man, and contributing the way that I can. Appreciate y'all for tuning in to my show, though. Hit that like button on your way out. Hit the subscribe button if you're new here. Thank y'all for helping me get to over 10K last week. But once y'all got me to 10K, y'all almost got me to 12K. We at 11.5 right now, subscribers. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for your time. I'll never waste it. I highly appreciate y'all. Peace, love, plenty, abundance. Make sure you go get you some money, and I'm gone. Chill.
The Trevor Jackson Podcast.